Hello and welcome to my world. I am finally getting around to assembling the chassis for this Clod Buster project truck, and the chassis I'm going to be using for this truck is the Crawford Performance Engineering, or CPE, time warp chassis shown here, which is an aluminum chassis made out of aluminum plates. And one of the things I liked about this chassis is that it allows the use of different style battery packs. So here's the battery holders right here, and this is the battery tray right here. And depending on where you mount these black plastic battery holders, you can accommodate for standard style batteries like that, or there's actually another set of mounting holes on the tray, and you can mount these closer together so that you can accommodate for shorty style packs. So that's pretty neat how they did that. But one of the problems is that there's no room on the tray to mount electronics. So speed controller and the receiver can't be mounted on this tray. Now I've seen online some people mount their electronics in the center portion of the chassis down here, but I did not want to do that because that exposes them to dirt and mud, and just didn't want any of that stuff getting on my electronics. So had to figure out a way to somehow mount my electronics somewhere else. And one of the neat things about this tray, and you can see right here the different mounting holes that give you the option of moving those battery holders around. And those holes also allowed me to make and mount this. This is a custom electronics tray that I designed and had made by a machine shop, and it's going to mount to the underside of this tray like so. Going to use the mounting holes for the battery holders to also hold this aluminum tray on, and I will be mounting my receiver here on this end of this aluminum plate, and I'll be mounting my electronic speed controller on this end. These extra two holes here are for mounting the bracket that holds the cooling fan above my electronic speed controller. So this is a pretty simple solution here, and I think it'll work really well. It's just a simple flat piece of aluminum that I had cut and then different holes drilled in it. And also I can flip the entire assembly you see here around 180 degrees, depending on if I want the receiver at the front of the chassis or the rear of the chassis. That's to be determined probably later on after I mount the body. Not sure how much room I'm going to have for my ESC cooling fan once I mount the body on top. So I may be rotating this whole assembly around 180 degrees, and it will fit in the chassis either way. And this plate right here that normally mounts the battery, it goes down here in the center of the chassis, and it actually has two different heights you can mount it to. So you can lower it if you want to, but with these lower set of holes down here, or you can mount them in the upper set of holes here if you want to raise it up for some reason. So I'll probably be mounting it in its lower position. And one of the things I like about this time warp chassis is that it allows you to raise and lower the suspension system. So the center cradle right here has different height mounting holes right here, so you can raise and lower it up. There's 3 different positions, similar to how the old tub style chassis from Sassy Chassis were done. So the chassis that I'm using on Raging Bull and Chernobog have adjustable height suspension on those. Those chassis were all made by Sassy Chassis back in the day. And also this chassis has an adjustable wheelbase feature on it too. So you can mount the lower suspension arms, can be mounted to these holes here. That gives a stock Clod Buster wheelbase. Or you can also mount them here to these positions here, which give it a longer wheelbase. So I'll probably be using the longer wheelbase positions for this truck because I'm using the larger tires, so just want a little bit of space there for those. And now that I'm done with this part, I finally received this new chassis plate to mount my electronics. I will be mounting my electronics on there, so that will be the next step in this video. So I'm going to turn off the camera and start mounting electronics equipment on here, and I'll show you what that looks like when I'm all done. And just like that, all of my equipment is mounted on the new electronics mounting plate, and everything is bolted together and it fits beautifully together. So it's nice to see everything working out exactly as I had planned. And all of the equipment going from left to right. We have my Novak receiver, the 2 battery holders, and my Novak Super Rooster ESC, and the Novak cooling fan. Everything mounted together beautifully, exactly the way I had designed. So one of the things I really like about the Time Warp chassis, it has these actual real battery holders. And one of my pet peeves with so many RC cars and RC trucks, not just aftermarket, but a lot of stock ones, is that they use straps, Velcro straps or zip ties, or just methods of securing battery packs that I just really don't like. I like good old-fashioned rigid battery hold downs like this. So unfortunately, way too many both stock and aftermarket chassis nowadays, and this goes back a ways too, even back in the day too, too many of them use, in my opinion, Velcro straps and zip ties to hold the batteries in place, and including my Clodzilla 4, when from the factory from ESP, it uses zip ties to hold the battery pack down. So always drove me nuts. So on that truck I replaced the zip ties with a Team Associated RC10 battery hold downs, and it's one of the great modifications I made to that chassis. And this CPE Time Warp chassis also has similar molded plastic battery hold downs. So way to go, CPE, love that. So the next step will be to mount this entire assembly here inside the center of the chassis down there. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to turn the camera off and mount that in there. And there we go. The tray fit in here just perfectly. So just enough clearance there below that chassis cross member for the Super Rooster electronic speed controller, and plenty of clearance there for the receiver. And I haven't made an antenna holder just yet because I don't know what shape it will have. I won't be able to determine that until I mount the body on here, because the antenna holder will extend up into the cab of the Chevrolet pickup truck body. So I will work on that later, but plenty of room for that up there in front. But it's great to see this new electronics plate fits in the chassis exactly as I had designed, and I'm pretty excited. For now, the chassis is pretty much done, all put together, so I just have to mount the front and rear axles to this chassis, and then it will be done, and then on to mounting the body and doing all the body work. So I can't wait to get to that. This truck is finally taking shape, and getting real excited about that too. So stay tuned for that, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about what you've seen, please feel free to leave them below, or if you just have any comments, please feel free to leave them below. I do read all of the questions and all of the comments. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you in the next video.